All right, welcome back. Episode 4, happy hour at the bar.
Guess what she posts about every single day on social media?
Heroin?
Going to the gym. She goes that is her addiction.
That's awesome.
She does that because she had no idea how to get rid of her anger besides throwing that fucking weight off her chest after that moment. It was crazy. It was so awesome.
So, to kind of talk about what you were saying, Pat, with the men versus women, I think guys, just in general, when you're talking about CrossFit, come in with an ego.
Oh, yeah.
There's an ego of, I can lift this much, I can do this much, or at least in their head, they're saying, I should be able to do this much.
He's referring to me.
No. I'm just talking about in
We're
general.
definitely calling Pat out. Another life lesson.
And it's
Fuck
at
you,
those
Pat.
points
Fuck
that
you.
the men basically become humbled.
Yeah.
I was one of those people. I walked in, I said, I can do this. There's older ladies running around doing this. There's a 60-year-old man doing this. I can do it. My first workout, I got crushed and I got humbled, and I was like, oh, all right, let's start from scratch. Let's get it together. Let's listen. Let's do what we're supposed to do here. I think women come in and they have different motivation. It's not necessarily ego. And a lot of the women that come in have never lifted a barbell, have never had that background where they've done weightlifting, outside of maybe some type of LA Fitness circuit, training type thing, where it's not actually an Olympic lift or, pushing themselves to a certain point. And they have to learn that, I can push harder. I'm better than I think I am.
And it's okay.
And I think that's probably the biggest part of the trial and error of a coach is finding out what is that motivation for each one of your athletes. Okay? So when you were talking about getting around to every athlete and talking about that, a lot of it's trial and error, Pat, to be honest with you. You throw something out there one day, it works, and you're like, oh, okay, this person works that way. That's their carrot. You throw something out there for somebody else another day, and you're like,
the next
holy
day,
crap.
and you're like, oh.
That did not work, so I won't do that again. So it's just like anything else, like a friendship, like a symbiotic thing. I told my high school kids this when I coached, and I tell my athletes this now. Listen, when we're in here and we're training, and that's what we're doing, we're training every day. We're in here training. We're not competing every day. We're training every day. When we're training and we're practicing, hey guys, I'm going to be the one that you can all band together to hate. You're like, oh, Kareem's always mean. He's always saying this. He's always on me. He's always on this. He's picking on this. He's picking on that. Yeah, I'm that guy. But you know what? On game day, on competition day, I'm your biggest cheerleader at that point.
Yep.
Because I know what you can do. And on those days when you push yourself to that limit, you finally see what I was talking about.
Yep.
You finally understand what I'm saying. Hey, you can lift more than that. You're stronger than that. You can do more reps unbroken. Don't worry about it. But I'm also that same guy that's going to be in the same breath saying, this is the type of workout you should be going heavy and dropping every time, or you should not be dropping every time. You should be able to go unbroken. Let's pick a weight that works for you. Let's pick an idea. Let's come up with a game plan. So it's that whole building that rapport, building that trust in the athletes, and them being able to trust you to say, you should be going heavier. And they're like, okay, I trust them. I'm going to go heavier. Or let's scale back today. This isn't working for you today.
Yeah.
Right.
All right. And it's not a hit to the ego. It's more of a trust thing where
You have to build that rapport.
He knows what he's talking about.
I feel like you and I do that a lot, actually. Like, as far as workout wise, it's like we'll literally just go up to the bar, either take the weight off that they need to stop doing, or put the weight on and be like, and they're like, well, but that was really hard. And it's like, okay.
Yeah, and I saw what you did.
Awesome.
You can keep going.
Like, what you feel and what I see are two very different things. Like, let me do my job and you can do yours.
Yeah, I just watched you. You didn't struggle.
Yeah, at all. Yeah, but
You're not even sweating.
but I felt hard. It felt heavy, and I'm like, yeah, I'm glad. It's
Because you've
weightlifting.
never experienced that before.
Yeah, you forget the lifting part of the weightlifting. It weighs something.
The lifting of the weights.
Yeah,
So like,
it's
that's-
heavy.
I guess that's another thing too. I mean, it's something that I think a lot of people have issues with, and it's expectations versus reality. So when I came in the CrossFit gym, I was like, I'm gonna kill this shit. I'm gonna lift all the weight I can, whatever. I knew I was strong. I was like, I got this. It's not a problem. I did all this shit before.
But could you do burpees?
Couldn't I? I mean, I was like, you know what? I did up downs in football and stuff. I was like, I got this, man.
Thought
But
the
then I
same
was
thing.
like, but then it's
double
not
teamed
the
and
same.
folded like a lawn chair.
You look over and see the bottom of your knee and let me know how you feel the next day. Yeah, terrible. But I think expectations versus reality is big, and it's a matter of how do you get people to set the right expectations when coming into a gym like this, because you have the reality of the fact that they're not going to be able to do what they think they can when they first come in. Maybe down the line they will, but like I still have days where I look at the WOD and I'm like, this is going to be cake. Those are the ones that usually kick my ass the most.
Sure.
Yeah, so did every other football team that you played when you looked at the schedule and said, oh, that's going to be cake.
Right.
Sometimes.
No, I think it's like you can tell from the athlete when they come in. You know, we've all done foundations, we've all coached intros. You can tell, you know, when an athlete walks in the door and you know that they're going to be, you know, an athlete in CrossFit, you can kind of push them a little bit differently. Their expectations are a little bit higher. Your expectations as a coach to push them a little bit more. And then you have your everyday person. But one of the big things I used to say in the intro is, listen, dude, you don't have to sign up. Like, if you don't want to be here, you don't have to be here. Like, I'm not a salesman. You either want to come here and get in shape, you want to get fit, or you don't. You know, I can't do that for you. You know, I can coach you, I can motivate you all you want, but you have to motivate yourself. And Greg Martin was one of them. We laugh about it. It's still 3 years later. He's like, I'll never forget, man, the first intro, you told me that, you know, I didn't have to sign up if I didn't want to. I was like, well, yeah, you don't have to be here if you don't want to. And it's 4 years later, and he's lost, what, like 100? He's lost like a person.
Yeah, and he's strong as fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
God,
good. But
he
you can
always
tell, like,
surprises
from the
me.
athlete, like, you know, from doing like an intro or foundations, like what to expect from that athlete and then how you can push them and motivate them. And it's just, you know, each person's different. I mean, that's just what I've seen from coaching my intros and foundations.
I have a little bit of a different take. I learned in school a long time ago, expectations equal upset. They like push that in. Like every time you have an expectation, it leads to upset eventually because you're expecting something that may or may not happen. So a lot of times what I do is we do this thing called making a deal. So when someone comes in for an intro, it's like kind of like what you do. It's like, I'm like, listen, here's the deal. You show up, I'll coach you to the best of my ability as long as you're giving me everything you got. If you don't want to be pushed anymore, you let me know. If you need me to do something different, you tell me. I'm all here for you. But you need to understand that when you show up, you got to show up. I don't need you somewhere else. I don't need you at home. I don't need you with the 15 things you have to do today. All I need is this hour for me to help you if you let me. And I make that deal. Every time someone comes in for an intro, it's the first thing this is my deal. I'll do everything I can. Because that way, expectation is, oh, well, I'm thinking that they understand me and they, you know, well, I never really made that clear. Like, no, this is it. Here's the contract.
So how do you differentiate an expectation versus a goal then?
A goal is something that you would like to attain. An expectation is like, oh, well, I'm going to make it into the games. That's what, like, when someone starts, like, commenting
So I guess
like
that. That's like an extreme case where they're like, if someone's like, I'm going to be in the games. That's
Right.
like me being like in high school, like I'm going to be in the NFL.
Well, I'll go back to what Pat was talking about, how he looks at a WOD on paper and says, oh, this is going to be cake. And that's the
Exactly.
one that kicks his ass. So the beginning of every class, I know every coach does this. You sit up there and you say, all right, this is the workout, blah, 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 said in movements. Anybody have any questions on movements? All right, now let's talk about this workout. I know Aaron does it. I know Nick does it. Kenny does it. You know, Joe used to do it when I was, you know, taking classes from him. I do it all the time. And I kind of go through and say, hey, look, all right, this is what this workout is intended to do. All right, because as a CrossFit coach, you need to know that. You need to know the intent of the workout. All right, here's what the workout's meant to be. All right, this is Fran. We're supposed to go hard and never put this thing down. Go unbroken and everything as hard as you can.
Fucking
and
hate
you're
that
supposed to be
workout.
on the ground, laying on the ground at the end. If you're not doing that, you didn't do the workout right. Now, regardless of what your level of intensity is, you should be on the ground, laying on the ground at the end.
Yeah.
You should have pushed yourself to the limit. All right.
Vomiting.
Or at least
Now, if we're
pretend.
going 20-minute AMRAP with, you know, rows and this and that, it's like, all right, guys, what I want you to do is I want you to find that pace. I want you to maintain that pace. I don't want you to do 2 rounds really, really fast and then fall apart for the rest of the 20 minutes. I want you to go 2 rounds slow and keep that 2-round pace throughout the whole 20 minutes. All right. So I think tempering expectations of people. I know we had down there about technique and things like that. The snatch, all right? Guys, this is snatch day. You're not going to get this. I've been doing this for 6 years. I still don't have a perfect snatch. I won't. You know, 10 years, 20 years, it's never going to be perfect. You know, I watched Joe lift. You know, even yesterday, he was doing something, and I'm like, Joe, get those elbows high. You know, and he punches the wall, and I'm just like,
Pull up
Joe.
structure.
I'm like Joe. You know, I'm like elbows high.
Hands
Joe
like
doesn't
the
have a perfect. You
size
know,
of a boxing
Aaron.
glove.
I've watched Aaron, and Aaron's been like, yeah, he's been like, hey, coach me real quick, and I looked, and I'm like, hey, Aaron, you're pulling too early. You're doing this. You're doing that. You know, Aaron's a national champion, and you're never gonna get perfect. So tempering those expectations of, hey, you're not gonna look like a CrossFit's Games athlete on day 1, day 2, day 3. It's going to take a process. It's going to be a process in which you're going to have a high one day where you're going to be like, oh, I got it. And then the next day you're going to be like, holy crap, this sucks. I lost it. It doesn't work. Pull-ups, any of those things where you have those moments that they break you down. And it's in those moments you have to understand that everyone's been here. We've all done this. You'll get past it. You'll keep coming and you'll understand it, and eventually it'll click. One time you'll get that and it'll click.
How do you deal with the ego?